Hi friends, hello the world. Welcome to this episode of Tools for Transitioning Humanitarians. I'm your host, Isabel Monova. I want to talk to you today about how to transition with 50K USD a month mindset. And it seems like it's something that a lot of my clients tell me is helping them, and that's why I wanted to bring this to your attention as well, in case this will be helpful for you in your process of transitioning. So the usual way a lot of humanitarians transition is they feel so afraid of what's happening. They feel so afraid of how things are going, whether this will work. They keep second guessing. They keep feeling in so much of the survival of, oh my God, will I make it or not? Will my skills will be transferable or not? A lot of those dramas and fear that will accompany them as they transition, right? And as a result, they end up then undermining their expertise. They keep agreeing to things that they wouldn't have otherwise. And they just feel a lot of this worry about if I don't get this, if I don't say yes to this, then I will be out. And this will be how they will be transitioning. So I've been helping a lot of humanitarians lately transition in the way that is intentional, in the way that is powerful, in the way that we know and choose what we want to go for instead of just going for the things, hoping for the best and then seeing what happens, right? And one of the ways that I was telling clients is that imagine if you knew your capacity and you were so good at um, making 50K worth of value, if you were transitioning and if you knew how to do that, whether in the humanitarian sector, whether in the private sector, whether for your own business, how would you transition through that process versus how are you doing it now, right? And I was exploring with them as to how that mindset could look like, right? And how you could apply that to your own situation as well, where you really keep reminding yourself that, okay, the way that I want to transition is not just following my fears and worries and default brain of how I should get something before I feel so worried and occupied, but rather this is how I want to go through this. And I have seen, and as I discussed with so many clients, I have seen that in the 50K level, especially, the mindset that we go through things and solve things is very different than when we just try to go for whatever the hopefully best situation. So the mindset of a 50K person or someone, a professional who's making 50K a month worth of value, the mindset of that person is what I would like to describe and see how you can apply this to your own situation, right? I have seen there are three distinctive parts of that mindset that could really be useful for your situation. The first is people who have learned and who have understood their value and how they can make the value in this setting or in another setting, they know that they don't need to be affected by external situations. And the minute they get affected by external situations, they will um, feel a lot of emotions they don't like. So that's why they're very careful about how to let other circumstances, other people's opinion influence their emotional state, right? So some of the ways that it can look like in practice is whatever the people around you that complain, drain your energy, or want to talk about things that you don't really find useful, you really start recognizing you have the power to react in the way that you would like to. You don't need to just take up all of their energy. You don't need to just take up all of their negativity, but rather you start putting certain boundaries. You start communicating in a way that whether you hang out with them or not, right? This also means that you start looking at losing a job, for instance, or not having a job or not having a job in the sector is not a problem because you know that you can, like, you don't need to be panicking by it, worrying about it, and all of those things because your internal state, your emotional state does not depend on how the external things are changing because your emotional state depends on you and you feel very good in being in charge of that emotional state and therefore not allowing those external changes and circumstances affect you in the negative. If anything, you could allow, like, use those external circumstances as a way to feel even more drive to do something that you really want, to take this opportunity as an excitement. I have a client who I was talking yesterday, and he was telling me that transitioning to a private sector, he sees this as an exciting thing that he wants to do. I have another client who wants to leave the UN a very high position, excuse me, to go to a private sector, sorry, to go and build her own business. And she feels, my God, this is the most exciting thing I've done in the last 20 years, it feels. And it feels so good. And that is available to you, where you don't interpret your external circumstances and things changing as a way to feel worried and terrified about your situation, but rather use it as a way to say, finally, I get to do what I really want to. I will use this opportunity to build something that I have really wanted to build for a long time because of the second reason, second mindset that is so crucial, which is relying on yourself and your expertise rather than relying on the system. And this is something that I have really found it interesting that a lot of humanitarians I coach is one of the things that I really need to help them understand and go through is removing that dependency on the system, right? Removing that substance abuse almost, and I mean, being the identity or having the independent identity or developing an independent identity they want to. So one of the things that I really help people is to rely on themselves moving forward, relying on creating their own security, their own safety, their own internal resources to be going for what they want to, irrespective of what the system does or does not do, right? And this skill and mindset becomes such a crucial one because we then know that no matter what happens in the external world, no matter whether we lose our job, no matter whether we don't get a job that we want to in the sector or whether we go to another job, we know that we can rely on ourselves and trust on ourselves fully to keep going rather than keep making every rejection mean that, oh, I can't really live without that system. I can't really be successful without that system. I can't really be as important and making this money without UN paying me, for instance, right? So we don't do that any longer. We rather know that we are in charge of how to keep moving forward and also the previous mindset about not letting external circumstances dictate your emotional state, inner state, becomes such a handy mindset because, and the skill, right? Because even if we get rejections after rejections as we go through in the private sector, we know that those rejections don't need to dictate our path. We can continue going for what we want anyway. And therefore, these two combination of skills, the mindset, becomes such a crucial one to embody as we keep going towards what we want to, right? So the way that you can really learn to boost that trust is by keep taking the actions to keep going towards what you want to, even if fear is desperately trying to hold you back and saying you should really go and stay where you are. Now, the third one that is also tied into the first two is what is the value or what is the solution that you can create and you can offer to your um, future employer or to whoever you're going to work for, what is the solution that is worth 50K that you can offer to them that they would be wanting to pay you that money? And I think this is something that maybe many of humanitarians, we don't really think about it. And this is something that I ask my clients all the time, especially those ones who are wanting to go for transitioning to a 50K level or more. I ask them, what would that solution look like that you can offer based on your expertise and skill set that is really unique to you that will help you uh, offer that to someone or an institution, organization, company, whoever, or the person, right? Whoever you offer, they really see the value of it and they want to pay for it. So some of the examples that we came up with some of my clients is that one of my clients wants to offer strategic solutions for logistical issues that many companies might be struggling. And he knows this from working for United Nations, and he has found ways to solve this in situations where the infrastructure is not almost non-existent, right? In certain developing countries or in certain very difficult situations, and therefore he wants to offer that solution to that company or companies that work on logistics, for instance. Another solution that a client of mine was thinking about for 50K worth of value would be targeting specific type of companies who are wanting to enlarge and enter market in a particular niche area, and she currently observes and analyzes how that's not happening. But if they did enter that market, they would benefit the communities and the company as well. And how can we do that in a way that it is beneficial for both instead of just exploiting the community or exploiting that area? And how that solution could be 50K worth uh, a month's value and how you offer that to them, right? So for coaches or consultants who are thinking about helping others, especially individual clients, the thing that you could think about what would be worth that someone is paying you 50K worth of value every month would be if they acquire the skill, learn the skill to make similar amount themselves, for instance, right? So that would maybe be worth 50K. And again, the number 50K is not really that important. It can be, I don't know, 20K, it can be 10K, depending on where you stand, or maybe even more than 50K, right? But what is important is that I have found it so helpful for so many clients when we start talking about a number that challenges them, but also the number that makes them feel like, oh, that excites me and that I want to grow um, even more by providing so much more value to that customer or solution to that customer or to that employer, to that client, whoever it is. And the way that I grow is by coming up with those specific type of solutions to that person or entity, and whether you are employed by them or not, and how do you create that value that's worth that amount, that grows you, that challenges you, that also makes you feel very uncomfortable, but also gets you out of that uh, environment of, oh my God, I don't know how to transition, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go, and all of those drama ways of handling things. You will stop doing that because you start really looking at, okay, if I really am someone who's proposing solutions at this level, how do I show up? Who am I? How do I sell my services? Who do I sell it to? How do I explain the value of it? And how do I have the mindset as I do this, right? So with one of my clients, I was talking about, okay, if you really are that person who has the mindset of 50K USD earner a month mindset, and you are solving some of the problems that you're currently facing, like energy draining very fast, not having resources for socializing. But at that level, you would really be good at socializing. You would really be good at managing your energy and time in a way that you create more energy rather than deplete it, right? And how do you become that person? And that seems to resonate a lot with clients. So that's why I would like to offer this to you. If you notice yourself, like as you observe yourself, how you're approaching transitioning, and you see that as you are transitioning, you keep having a lot of this. I don't know what am I going to do? How am I going to do? Whether this will work, whether that will work in that emotional state, that means that you're allowing your current external circumstances in the office, like colleagues, you're allowing them to influence you so much that you keep panicking and growing your fear. And therefore, you're just not able to focus on being intentional about how to transition and what to transition to. Right. So therefore, your job is to learn, okay, this is how my mindset going to be transitioning from the humanitarian sector to another post in the sector or somewhere outside. And that's why I'm proposing that if you look at if this is helpful, right? Think of it as you having the mindset of having 50K earner or 20K earner, whatever it is that's helpful to you, and see if that was true. How would you transition? How would you approach it? How would you solve problems? How would you take step by step to make decisions, to implement those decisions, right? And really feel good about how you're going through this process versus let me just go through as fast as I can and then feel like done with it and then not think about it ever again kind of an approach, right? So if this is helpful for you, I would love to invite you to work with me where we develop your mindset around whatever the amount that you want to be making after transitioning, whatever the person you want to continue being or you want to become, whatever the cause you want to work on, the impact you want to work on. I would love to invite you to work on this so that you go through the transitioning feeling powerful, feeling in charge of how to do this and excited rather than I'm drowning and someone help and save me kind of constantly survival energy, right? So, my dears, I hope that you will you make use of this concept and use it in your transitioning and come coach with me. You can email me at complaintfree.life or you can go to my website and book a call, salvatore.com. And I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you. Bye.